So you remember back in the 2020 election, Time magazine told you what they were doing behind the scenes, meaning the Republican and the Democratic establishment who serves the oligarchy. The secret history of the shadow campaign that saved the 2020 election.
Yeah, so it's not rigged.
There was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes, one that both curtailed the protests and coordinated the resistance from CEOs. Both surprises were the result of an informal alliance between left-wing activists and business titans. The pact was formalized in a terse, little-noticed joint statement of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and AFL-CIO published on Election Day. Both sides would come to see it as a sort of implicit bargain inspired by the summer's massive, sometimes destructive racial justice protests in which the forces of labor came together with the forces of capital to keep the peace and oppose Trump's assault on democracy.
Well, that's got it all wrapped up right there. See, the forces of labor and capital can be friends.
So they're finally doing, so part of that was when they suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story, and then they would censor everybody on social media. So because they knew what happened in 2016, WikiLeaks revealed Hillary Clinton's emails, and they say that's what swayed the election to Trump. And they were afraid that this Hunter Biden laptop thing, which by the way had super serious shit in it, like all about Joe Biden, who ran Ukraine for the United States. He was basically running it. Down to the minutia of they would decide which judges got to be, yes, because his son was on a board. They didn't want it to be investigated. That's the big speculation that he was handpicking. He bragged about it.
Yeah, well, he said outright, you're not going to get your $1 billion unless you fire that guy. He fired that guy that investigator.
So, and then he had his dealings in Ukraine, which Joe Biden's business partner said that, or Hunter Biden's business partner said 10% for the big guy, which was in one of those emails, was about money going to Joe Biden from Hunter Biden's dealings in China. So there was a lot of relevant stuff in there.
Wait.
And so what?
Also, Trump offhandedly said, hey, you should look into that thing with the prosecutor, and we had to impeach him.
That's right.
And friends of mine said, well, you can't just you investigate a political opponent as are you joking?
What Russiagate was one political investigation. That's all it was. So now I forget where I was. Let me think of where I was. So there was important stuff on that laptop. The New York Post prints that story. They get censored on social media. For 2 weeks, they get locked out of their account. They two stories about Hunter Biden's laptop, and they lied, and they censored it.
Talk with you.
And so now, finally, they're starting to be able to question these motherfuckers, just like they're able to question them over COVID, which we're going to show you in a bit. But here they are, finally getting them to admit what they did was wrong. And they're basically a subsidiary of the FBI. And here we go.
That day, did you talk to the FBI about the Hunter Biden laptop story prior to then or after that day?
So now this guy's Mr. Baker. He came directly from the FBI, and he was like their top counsel guy over there on censoring and stuff. And now he just actually these guys are just bombed.
Is that the one that Elon Musk didn't know worked there and then they fired him? Okay,
yes, this is the guy right from the FBI, Elon Musk. It took him like a couple weeks to figure out he was even there.
I could see that looking at him now.
Right, here we go. Straight from the FBI, censoring people on Twitter.
I'm trying to make sure I can answer this question consistent with the restrictions that I talked about in my opening
Simple
statement.
question. Did you talk to the FBI about the Hunter Biden story?
I do. To the best of my recollection, I did not talk to the FBI about the Hunter Biden story before that day.
Before that day? First of all, look at all the qualifiers. To the best of my recollection, which means I probably did, and I don't want to be caught lying.
They called me, and I handled it for them.
Yeah. So then he says, up to that day. And he goes, well, watch.
Talk to him after it. You said your response is real specific to the chairman. You said, I did not talk to the FBI about the Hunter Biden laptop story that day. I assume that day is October 14th. I want to know if you talked to him on the 13th or before, or if you talked to him on the 15th and after.
I don't recall speaking to the FBI. Sitting here today, I don't recall speaking to the FBI at all about the Hunter Biden matter.
Well, then why'd you answer it the way you did?
I beg your pardon?
I yield back then. You didn't talk with the FBI.
I yield back, you fucking assholes. So And by the way, they're all jerk-offs.
Yeah,
right?
this whole thing's a sham. It's just you get to see them.
Everyone's just... But I want you to understand why this is important, and it's why it's not really being covered by the media. It's because the media conspired with the oligarchy and the establishment media to manipulate you. That's what that is. They wanted to manipulate you so you voted a certain way. That's what this is. That's what they had been screaming about for 4 years when Trump was president, that the Russians had manipulated you into voting a certain way, and WikiLeaks had manipulated, and that's why they stole our democracy. That what this proves is that they actually were doing that. They were doing that. They were trying to manipulate you and your perceptions. And they did it through censorship. And they're just sitting there lying. This is their testimony. So now this guy is the huge boner over there. He was in charge of remember we talked about this guy Roth, and now he pretends he's a victim.
Yoel.
Yeah. And so he had his fingers in all the censoring, and he was super proud of it.
But I did notice in some of them, he was like, hey, they're really like pushing us to do a lot of censoring, like more than even he was comfortable with in those Twitter files. Did you see that?
Yes. So watch this exchange.
In 2020, Twitter noticed activity related to the laptop that, at first glance, bore a lot of similarities to the 2016 Russian hack and leak operation targeting the DNC.
See, that's first of all, he's assuming evidence that's not in whatever. Facts that are not in evidence. Because that didn't happen. The Russians didn't hack that computer. CrowdStrike admitted it. So he's just making that up, but that is what they were afraid of. They were afraid that this story, this Hunter Biden laptop story, could turn the election. So they suppressed it and lied and said it was Russian disinformation. They tried to throw the election.
They couldn't take a chance on your freedoms and hearing stuff with such an important election.
No, they were going to...
might screw up with your freedoms.
So this guy pre-read that article for you. So you didn't have to read it and get infected and vote wrong. Yeah. He pre-read it for you, decided it would hurt you if you read it, and then he censored it.
And we had to decide what to do. And in that moment, with limited information, Twitter made a mistake. Under the distribution of hacked material policy, the company decided to prevent links.
So what happened was they had to find a way to censor it. I don't know if you read the Twitter files, you probably didn't. They had to find a way to censor it. So this is really important stuff. And so they're all just lying and covering their ass and making it up.
I will say, saying Twitter made a mistake. That's more forthcoming than, say, Pfizer.
Okay.
The New York Post stories about the laptop from being shared across the service. I've been clear that in my judgment at the time, Twitter should not have taken action to block the New York Post's reporting. And just 24 hours after doing so, the company acknowledged its error. But the decisions here are...
So this idea, I don't know what that means. I don't know why he's allowed to say that. It just took, in 24 hours, they reversed their decision. They didn't. The New York Post was locked out of their Twitter account for 2 weeks.
It was?
Yes.
Wow. I forgot about that.
Yes. So I don't know what he means by...
The wheels of justice turn slow.
Yeah, I don't know what he means about it was only for 24 hours. Trying to minimize it. No, it was 2 weeks.
Then we moved it over to the hidden list of not seeing it from the... No.
Wasn't it until after the election? So they didn't want it to sway the election.
Yeah.
Straightforward, and hindsight is 2020. It isn't obvious what the right response is to a suspected but not confirmed cyber attack by another government on a presidential election.
Yes, it is.
I believe...
What?
It isn't clear what to do if it is suspected. You err on the side of my right, you moron.
That's right.
It's not. It's very clear. Unless you're an... Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's right. It
isn't clear.
It isn't clear.
Asshole.
We have to first read it, and because we have superpowers at Twitter, we can read propaganda, and it doesn't affect us. But you stupid idiots, it'll screw you up. So we pre-read it for you, and we're going to start pre-chewing your food, too.
We're going to leave the child porn up, meanwhile.
But meanwhile, they'll leave up the child porn. There is so much porn on Twitter.
There's just so much.
Unbelievable.
In this case, because we wanted to avoid repeating the mistakes of 2016.
See? That's what it was all about. And so This is what AOC has. So they're admitting it. Twitter is admitting they made a mistake. They did the wrong thing. They censored someone in a bogus way. So watch this.
By other news outlets that hope to corroborate reporting, as many did. The newspaper wasn't sharing what it obtained. New York Post had this alleged information and was trying to publish it without any corroboration, without any backup information.
Why don't they just say many experts like AOC and then corroborate how she does? Many experts say that's stochastic terrorism. What experts? Who?
You mean they were trying to file an accurate story.
Trying to protect sources?
We now know it's an accurate story. And so you want someone to... So what she's doing is saying Twitter is a publisher, which they're not supposed to be. Because you can sue a publisher. You can't sue Twitter. You can't sue a bookstore if there's something bad in a book. You have to sue the publisher. So that's where Twitter gets that exemption, just like Facebook. They get that exemption from being considered publishers. They can go censor and decide what to publish, and they're not considered publishers. Why? Because the government knows they can make them do what they want. That's why. Here we go. But she's now pretending that the story was bogus. With her big glasses. Watch this.
They were trying to publish it to Twitter. Twitter did not let them, and now they were upset. I believe that political operatives who sought to inject explosive disinformation with the Washington Post couldn't get away with it. And now they're livid. And they want the ability to do it again. They want the ability to inject this again.
She's pretending like the Hunter Biden laptop is disinformation. She's just repeating a lie. Just lying. Like she didn't get the memo. We've known this for a while. Hunter Biden admits it was his laptop. They all admit. The guy at Twitter just admitted.
Which half was fake of the story? I believe she said it was half fake.
She's going to say it in a second.
So they've dragged a social media platform here in Congress. They're weaponizing the use of this committee so that they can do it again. A whole hearing about a 24-hour hiccup in a right-wing political operation. That is why we are here right now. And it's just an abuse of public resources, an abuse of public time. We could be talking about healthcare. We could be talking about bringing down the cost of prescription drugs. We could be talking about abortion rights, civil rights, voting rights. But instead, we're talking about Hunter Biden's half-fake laptop story. I mean, this is an embarrassment.
What's actually embarrassing is how much of a mask just came off of you right there. You're such a tool of the Democratic establishment. It is unbelievable because everything she said was false. Nothing she said was true. And everyone knows it now.
I have a question.
It's like if she came out and said the virus stops. It's like if she said that. You get vaccinated, the virus stops. It's as if she said that.
All those things that we could be talking about, once these meetings are done, do you think she will be talking about them?
No, you could have been talking about... abortion rights, except you guys didn't codify it. You had complete control of government.
You know what? Why not paint it on the ass of your dress like you're at the Met?
So that was amazing. I don't know how far off the rails she has gone now, but anybody who falls for this deserves it, deserves what you have come. You deserve not to have nice things. How about that?
Understand the vast majority of the population will not even see this. Like they don't even pay attention. Every time I talk to my friends that are in there's a
because
few,
the news is not focusing on this. Like they focused on the January 6th hearings, but they won't focus on that. Yeah, everybody knows about that. Oh God.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about Trump throwing ketchup on a wall.
Which I don't even think he probably
Which
did.
probably didn't even do.
Yeah, then they said he threw ketchup
And
on
he
the
threw
wall.
ketchup on a wall. And then he lunged for the driver's wheel. That's bad. He's lunging. Doing live stand-up comedy in Tempe, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, Nashville, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohoes, New York, and Hartford, Connecticut. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets and become a premium member. Get access to all our content.